Rain clung to my coat as I stepped out of the taxi, the storm still rumbling somewhere behind the clouds. I was exhausted, hollow from 3 days at my mother's bedside. My name is Rachel Monroe. I'm 39 and I work as a paralegal, a job built on neat files and clear answers, though life rarely offers either. All I wanted was the familiar warmth of home, Eric's smile, Lily's clumsy hug, the small everyday things that remind you life hasn't fallen apart while you were gone, but the house was silent. Not calm, not resting. A wrong kind of silence, tight, held, breathless. "Lily?" I called softly, dropping my keys onto the hallway table. The sound echoed, too loud in the still air. I stepped into the living room and froze. Couch pillows on the floor, coffee table shoved aside. A cup rolled under the sofa as though someone had kicked it. My pulse flickered faster. "Eric!" I moved from room to room, kitchen, dining space, hallway, Lily's bedroom empty, all empty. Then my eyes landed on the basement door, closed. Latch turned from the outside. A creeping dread slid through me. Cold and instinctive, I reached for the latch, and the moment I flipped it open, a desperate pounding erupted from below. "Hello? Rachel! Let me out!" "Eric!" My breath caught in my chest. I flew down the steps, nearly tripping, and flicked on the light. There he was, behind the storage room door, hair disheveled, shirt torn, fists bruised from beating against the wood. When he saw me, relief broke through his fear. "Rachel, thank God, please, open it." I fumbled with the lock until it clicked. Eric stumbled out, clutching my arms, his voice ragged. "They were here. 2 guys. Lily let them in, said she knew them." My stomach dropped. "Who? What guys?" His eyes darkened. "Dealers? They said she owed them. When I tried to get her away, they knocked me down here and locked the door." My mouth went dry. "Eric, where is she now?" He swallowed, jaw shaking. "Rachel, they took her." For a moment, the world narrowed to a ringing in my ears, a thin, piercing hum that drowned out everything except the echo of Eric's words. They took her. My mind refused to absorb them, as if denial could rewind the last 10 minutes and place Lily safely upstairs, scrolling her phone, rolling her eyes at me for fussing, but Eric's face, ashen, trembling, left no room for delusion. "Did you call the police?" I forced out. "I couldn't." He ran a shaking hand through his hair. "They took my phone. Yours was in the kitchen charging. They moved fast, Rach. 1 minute they were talking, the next..." He gestured helplessly toward the basement door. "I didn't even see where they went." I wrapped my arms around myself, needing something, anything to keep my insides from hollowing out. "What did they say she owed them?" Eric hesitated. "Eric," he took a breath. "Money, a lot of it." His voice cracked with helpless anger. 5,000! My stomach twisted. "That doesn't make sense. Why would they think a 16-year-old? They weren't guessing." His eyes met mine, heavy with a truth he didn't want to speak. "They said she promised them she'd have it, that she'd been buying from them." A cold shiver went through me. Lily, our daughter with the soft freckles and uneven ponytails, the girl who still slept with a blanket she'd had since preschool, buying drugs? Getting tangled with men like that? My instinct screamed no, but fear whispered, "You've been gone a lot, Rachel. You didn't see everything I turned toward the stairs. We're calling the police." Eric grabbed my wrist, not hard, but desperate. "Rachel, wait. They said if we called anyone, they'd hurt her." My heart hammered so hard, I thought it might crack my ribs. "Eric, we can't just..." "I know," he whispered, voice trembling. "But they weren't bluffing." The room felt suddenly too small, too dark. The air pressing against my lungs, I forced myself to breathe, to think. We need to see if anything's missing. Maybe they left a clue. We hurried upstairs. The chaos in the living room looked worse now. Drawer pulled out, cushions overturned, Eric's jacket tossed aside as if someone had searched it. Her phone, I said suddenly. Did she have it? Eric shook his head. I think they took it too. I moved toward the hallway, pushing open Lily's bedroom door. The sight punched the air from my chest. Her backpack was dumped on the floor, notebooks spilled, clothes scattered, her dresser half open and on the bed. Face down, half hidden under her pillow, was a small plastic bag with a dusting of something white inside. Powdery. Fine. My breath trembled. Eric, I whispered. Come here. He stepped beside me and froze. Color drained from his face. That's not hers, he said. But the words were hollow. I reached for the bag with a tissue, lifting it carefully, my hands shaking. Rachel, Eric murmured, voice cracking. What the hell has she gotten into? I didn't know anything anymore, but I knew one thing with bone-deep certainty. We're getting her back, I said, whatever it takes. And then, from downstairs, a floorboard creaked, not the house settling, not the wind. Someone was still here. Eric and I froze at the same time, every muscle tightening as that single creak echoed up the staircase. It came from the kitchen, or just beyond it, slow, deliberate, like someone shifting their weight to stay quiet. My heart slammed so hard it rattled my ribs. Rachel, Eric whispered, barely shaping the word. We're not alone. He moved instinctively in front of me, but I grabbed his arm and shook my head. No sudden moves, I mouthed. Listen. We stood perfectly still, holding our breath. Another sound, soft, dragging, a shoe brushing tile. Someone was trying not to be heard. Eric's eyes darted to the baseball trophy on Lily's dresser. Without speaking, he grabbed it. Fingers wrapped tight around the wooden base, I reached for my phone on the bed, thumb hovering over the emergency dial. But the memory of Eric's warning, they'll hurt her if we call anyone, flashed through me. I swallowed, my throat burning. Stay behind me, Eric murmured, but I slipped past him instead. I'm the one with the phone, I whispered back. If it's one of them, they'll expect you to be terrified, not me. He glared with a mix of fear and frustration, but followed as we crept into the hallway. The house felt different now, charged, electric. Every shadow seemed to breathe. Every doorway felt like it was hiding something. My limbs tingled with adrenaline, the kind that dulled pain and sharpened instinct. We reached the end of the hallway where it opened to the kitchen. The lights were off, the darkness was thick, pooling around the counters, swallowing shapes, and then a silhouette shifted, tall, broad, standing by the back door. Oh God, Eric breathed. Before I could think, before I could talk myself out of it, I stepped forward and flicked on the light. The man flinched, raising one arm to shield his eyes. A hood shadowed his face, but I caught the outline, late 20s, unshaven, a cut on his cheek, clothes rumpled like he'd been in a scuffle. He didn't move toward us. He didn't run. He just stared. Then, I'm not here to hurt you. His voice was low, rough. I came back because Lily needs you. The words stunned me. Where is she? I demanded, stepping closer. Eric grabbed my arm too late. The man lifted both hands slowly, palms open. A gesture of surrender, but fear coiled in his eyes, a raw edge that told me he wasn't bluffing, wasn't calm. They took her to a house on Bramble Street, he said. The one with the boarded windows, you know the area. My breath caught. Bramble Street. 3 blocks from the river. A strip of abandoned properties and forgotten promises, the kind of place you avoided after dark. Why would you tell us this? Eric asked, suspicion sharpening his voice. The man's jaw tightened. Because she didn't deserve this, and because the guy she owes, He's not going to wait long. I stepped closer, heart pounding. What does she owe him? His eyes flicked to mine, then a way shame flashed across his features. She got mixed up with my brother. He's not forgiving. My stomach twisted. Your brother took her? Yeah, he said softly, and he won't let her go unless... Unless what? Eric snapped. Unless you get the money. The air seemed to collapse around us. We don't have $5,000, I said, voice trembling despite my fury. That's why I'm here, the man whispered, to help you get her back before he does something he can't undo. Silence fell. Thick and suffocating, Eric tightened his grip on the trophy. Why should we trust you? The man met my eyes, and something in his expression, fear, desperation, guilt, struck me deep. You shouldn't, he said. But you don't have time not to. And then the front door, still ajar from my arrival, slammed shut with a violent bang. The man jerked, his face draining of color. They followed me, he whispered. They're here. The man's warning barely left his lips before a pounding crashed against the front door. 3 heavy, deliberate blows that made the floor vibrate beneath our feet. Eric stepped instinctively in front of me, gripping the trophy so tightly his knuckles turned white. The man in the hood, Lily's unlikely informant, backed toward the counter, face pale, eyes darting like a trapped animal. Don't open it, he hissed. If it's them, they won't talk first. My pulse hammered in my ears. Every instinct screamed run, but there was nowhere to go, no safe direction. The house felt like a box closing in, walls shrinking, shadows thickening with danger. Another thunderous pound shook the door. Rachel, Eric whispered, we need a plan. Before I could answer, the man held up a trembling hand. Let me talk to them. If they think you're involved, they'll escalate. You brought them here, Eric snapped. I didn't mean to. The man's voice cracked. I broke away to warn you. My brother doesn't forgive loose ends. A slow scrape echoed across the porch. Someone dragging something. Or testing the handle. My stomach flipped. Back door, I whispered. We have to move. Quiet. Eric nodded, grabbing my hand. The informant led the way, moving fast but silent, weaving through the kitchen toward the sliding glass door. He paused only long enough to peek through the curtain. His breath hitched. They've got the back too. Trapped. I felt my legs threaten to give way, but I forced myself to stand taller, to find the part of me that kept calm in emergency rooms, under pressure, in chaos. If they wanted in, they'd already be inside, I whispered. They want something. Lily, Eric murmured. No, the man said. They want leverage. The front door rattled again, this time the knob twisting, testing. Adrenaline surged through me so suddenly my vision sharpened, details snapping into focus. The crack in the hardwood floor, the faint hum of the refrigerator, the man's shaking hands. Talk, I ordered him. If you're going to help us, then help us. What does your brother want with a 16-year-old girl? His jaw clenched. She wasn't buying drugs for herself. She was running them. The floor dropped out from under me. No, I breathed. No, that's... She didn't know what she was getting into. He cut in quickly. Your daughter... She thought she was helping a friend. She thought it was small, stupid teenage side hustle stuff. But my brother... He didn't finish. Bootsteps scraped across the front porch. More than one pair. Your brother what? Eric demanded. The man swallowed hard. He uses kids, teens. They move product, they take the risks, and if they screw up... He shook his head. There's a reason nobody crosses him. My breath trembled. What does he want? He hesitated. The product he thinks Lily lost. Eric blinked. Lost? Seized? Stolen? He doesn't know, doesn't care, but someone shorted him and he thinks it was her. A loud thud reverberated through the house, this time from the back door. We spun around just as a voice outside growled. Open the door, Mason. We know you're in there. The man stiffened. Eric shot him a sharp look. That's your name? He didn't answer. He didn't need to. His fear did. Okay, I said, voice steadier than I felt. Then what's the plan? Mason looked at us, then at both doors, jaw tightening with resolve. We're not giving them you, he said, and we're not waiting here to die. So what do we do? Eric asked. Mason took a breath, eyes burning with desperate certainty. We're going to get Lily back, he said, but first, we're getting out of this house. And how do you propose we do that? I whispered. Mason pointed toward the narrow pantry door beside the fridge. Through there, he said. Eric frowned. That's a dead end. Not if you know the neighborhood, Mason answered. Your pantry backs onto the old crawlspace, and the crawlspace opens to the storm drain behind the house. Eric's eyes widened. That's too small. It's big enough, Mason said sharply. It's the only way out without walking into their arms. Another slam hit the back door, harder this time. They're losing patience, Mason whispered. We need to move. I grabbed Eric's hand. He squeezed back. Okay, I said, turning to the pantry as the pounding grew louder. Let's go. And then, a window shattered somewhere behind us, glass sprayed across the floor. They were inside. The window shattered, and a man climbed through before we could react. Mason tackled him instantly, the two crashing to the floor. Go! Mason barked at us. Now! Eric grabbed my hand and pulled me toward the pantry. We shoved the shelf aside, opened the small crawlspace panel, and squeezed inside just as another voice shouted from somewhere in the house. Mason slammed the panel shut behind us. We crawled through the darkness, moving fast and silently, until daylight spilled through the storm drain grate. Mason pushed it open, and we climbed out beside the fence behind our house. The shouting inside faded behind us as we ran through backyards, cutting toward the river. When we finally stopped behind an old storefront, Mason caught his breath and pointed toward the far end of the street. They took her to the house on Bramble, he said. If we go now before they move her, we can get her back. Eric looked at me. I didn't hesitate. Let's go. The boarded-up house sat crooked near the riverbank, isolated and half-collapsed. We slipped through a basement window, Mason pried open. Inside, the air smelled of mildew and old concrete. A muffled cry echoed down the hallway. My heart lurched. I ran ahead before anyone could stop me. Lily, I whispered. She sat on the floor, her wrists bound, her face streaked with tears. When she saw me, she broke. Mom! Her voice cracked with relief. Eric cut the ropes with a rusted box cutter he found nearby, and I pulled her into my arms. It's okay, I whispered. We're here. Footsteps thudded above us. Mason tensed. We need to move. We guided Lily back to the window, pushing her through. First, Eric climbed out next. Just as I climbed onto the ledge, the basement door burst open. A man stormed down the stairs, but Mason stepped in front of him, blocking the way. Go! Mason shouted. I'll hold him! I slipped outside, Eric pulling me the rest of the way out. We grabbed Lily's hands and ran as fast as our legs could carry us, the river wind biting at our faces. Only when we reached the main road did we finally stop. Lily collapsed into our arms, shaking. I'm sorry, she cried. I didn't know it would get this bad. We'll deal with everything, I whispered into her hair. But you're safe now. That's all that matters. Eric wrapped his arms around both of us, holding us tight as distant sirens approached. For the first time in what felt like years, I let myself breathe. We had her back. And that was enough to begin again.